going good, man. How about you?
It's great, honestly. I've had a lot of time here lately, the past 2 weeks, to consume a lot of cool shit.
Oh yeah,
media wise, yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, you've been like off, right?
I have been way off, like more than usual.
Way out.
Like a lot, yeah. Free time's a strange concept to me. Yeah, I managed to get caught up on My Hero.
Hell yeah.
That was pretty excellent. Pretty excited about that, except for the fact that I happened to borrow the first book of the arc of manga that I borrowed from the library happened to have been right where I was in the series.
Oh.
And I had no idea until I was reading the book and then watched it. So
right on.
Yeah, I kind of screwed myself on that. But I expected it to be different somehow, because sometimes that happens between books and television shows.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's definitely a lot of like differences sometimes between the manga and like the anime. That's why they had to make a second like Full Metal series, because they diverged from the manga so early on.
Okay. Well, if you were curious, My Hero didn't at all.
Really?
Like down to the same words being said by the characters and everything.
Wow.
Yep. I read it and then I watched it, and one of those cases where the book wasn't necessarily better than the movie.
Huh. Like I really would have expected a lot more of a difference,
Mm-hmm.
So like, what do you think though? Like,
oh, I love it. I usually don't get too hype on anime. I've never been much of an anime guy, for the most part, aside from the easy ones like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff. But that one, I don't know what it was. Probably because it's superheroes. I vibe really hard with that. But yeah, and I expected to not even like that one, but it really caught me real hard. I think the opening relationship in that anime between All Might and Midoriya, I think, is what hooks you in. At least that's how it was for me. But like again, I'm just a filthy casual as anime goes.
Man, like I definitely agree, and in a way, I think for me, it was just All Might.
Just All Might.
Just All Might.
Yeah.
Like I think you could have taken Midoriya, and I forget his name all the damn time. Mm-hmm. I'm just like Deku. Mm-hmm. It's just Deku.
They never call him that in the show.
Yeah, I know.
So
like All Might's the only one that calls him Midoriya.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could have taken just about any other character from the show, swapped him out with Midoriya, and honestly I would have been just fine.
Yeah, that's not a take I visited yet, but you're absolutely right. I was thinking back to some of my other favorite students, Class A, and no, they're basically the same thing. But yeah, you're right, All Might. So
it's just the force of his charisma, his belief.
Oh yeah, and he talks real loud. That helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't have a choice but to listen.
For real.
Mm-hmm. So, what are we doing here today, Billy?
Well, so we're filming the first episode, I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah, it's at least a test run.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, cool. Then that probably means the computer can hear me.
You know what?
Which hopefully translates into the folks at home hearing me.
Right. And if it doesn't, this is just great practice.
Yeah, I mean, I love looking at your face, so.
The feeling's mutual, my man.
Excellent.
We've been looking at each other's face off and on for like 30 years now.
Yeah?
Well,
not quite 30.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah. This is, like, you're honestly OG friends. Like.
One of the first, I think. Yeah, same here. I remember one of my earliest memories from childhood was meeting a Billy, because Power Rangers was my favorite thing in the whole wide world when I was 5.
That's right.
And then, I mean, obviously, and then I went to school for the first time and met a Billy, and I was like, that's it. It was meant to be.
Yeah. Blue Ranger was your fave, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why. Obviously, you're supposed to love the Red Ranger the most, but I like to swim against the current sometimes, most of the time.
I mean, that's fair. No, like, whenever I was a kid, like, I was into science. Well, okay. I was into the idea of mad science, I guess.
Obviously.
I was like, let's build a robot and, like, smash some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, so Billy's gadgets, I was always like, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be lying if I said Green and White Ranger. wasn't where it was at for me.
No, you're right. You're right. It's always the ones that they throw in later that you're like, okay, no, wait, these ones are the best ones.
Yeah, and they're always the kind of angsty, mysterious bad boys.
Otherwise, how are they gonna like draw you in?
Yeah.
We all love a bad boy.
That's right.
Right. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good introduction to how, not only how we became friends and stayed friends for so long, but also like what makes us nerdy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a long road. It's a long road to get to where we are, but I think that there's a good common ground there in our age group for what did that.
Right. And I mean, we're from Arkansas. Like small town Arkansas. Like, 90s children in Arkansas became one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
Nerds.
Or a hick.
Exactly.
Right. And like, even more so because we grew up, I think part of it is because we grew up sort of isolated in our own way. I mean, we grew up basically the same area, and we both kind of grew up in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Type of situation. So, like, if you could, it wasn't so bad that we couldn't get Channel 8, but that's about all we could get.
We used to spin the antenna to try to get Fox.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you did not give a damn what was on TV 6 days out of the week.
That's right.
But Saturday morning rolled around, and, you know, that's yours. That's your TV. That's your idiot box for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah. And your parents don't question it because the alternative is you griping about it.
Yeah, and waking them up.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. Your kids then, just to sound like a boomer, kids then wake up at 7 p.m. and not say a damn word or 7 a.m., my bad, and not say a damn word for a good 3 to 4 hours aside from, hey, we're out of cereal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, quiet time, like, I'm not a parent. You are.
Yeah.
Seems like quiet time as a parent is like,
it's
currency.
Richer than gold, I'm going to go ahead and say that. Like, you can buy some quiet time, but when they just give it to you free.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you love them. When you love them the most, anyway. So, yeah, I mean, from there, you got to think that, again, that was 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of we both found a lot of other interests.
And oddly enough, they wound up being a lot of the same ones.
Yep. Something about punching and kicking while wearing green spandex.
Yeah.
It'll take you places.
It will. I remember like after, because we went to school together till like 3rd grade.
Right.
Very well, 4th grade. And 4th grade I started homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
But like you in some of your letters when we were communicating via snail mail back in the day before
that was how you had a pen pal back then.
Yeah, before the internet.
You bought stamps.
Yeah, we that old.
We that old.
But you mentioned like Yu-Gi-Oh and starting to get into that, and I didn't have my Yu-Gi-Oh like birthday until like 2009. Like I was in college. Whenever, well, I got casually interested, probably when I was 16.
Okay.
But didn't really start playing until like I was in college.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. I guess because I got into it, or at least interested, when I was, dear God, 12.
Right.
Maybe 10, somewhere in there. Because, again, TV. My grandma, we lived out in the woods, but my grandma would get satellite and all the channels.
Yeah.
As far as we knew, she had all the channels.
Man, the idea, like, I remember getting satellite for the first time, and my parents told me that there were channels we didn't have, and I didn't.
You could never.
No, it was not even. I had no clue. Like it felt like we had all the channels in the world. I thought they were like talking about like a couple of channels here and there, like legendary premium channels or something.
The kind of things that you weren't supposed to be up watching at 2 a.m.
Yeah, those two. But like, man, that was like I don't really understand how kids in the 90s and early 2000s who had basic package satellite. I don't understand how they didn't wind up as nerds, because like Cartoon Network was like my life. Like you got off school and Dragon Ball Z and like Sailor Moon and like the classic anime were on.
Right. And it was just different TV to us because they didn't have that on Nickelodeon or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Or by God, for sure they didn't have it on ABC.
Oh yeah, no.
So yeah, you'd find us over at our grandparents' house every Saturday morning just to vibe with the cartoons. Again, 4 hours of just smashing entertainment. Shaolin monks.
Oh,
that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. So
you remember Jackie Chan Adventures?
Oh, absolutely. I remember Jackie Chan Adventures. I mean, I couldn't tell you many scenes, but
I can tell you exactly one scene, and it's just Jackie Chan doing like a spin kick.
Well, I mean, that's most of Jackie Chan's life, I think.
I mean, that and
anytime
like
someone's seen him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, dude's just either martial arts or amazing vocals. That's his only two modes.
You know, I often forget that he does that.
If you ever get bored, and even if you're not bored, do it anyway.
Okay.
You need to hear him do "I'll Make a Man Out of You" from Mulan in Mandarin.
I'm at a loss for words already.
Yeah, it's spicy.
Top notch.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
So
what? So obviously the information superhighway was TV back then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, the kids who just had that,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's really hard for me to grasp how someone, I definitely fell out of some of that stuff at a certain age, early teenagerdom.
Right.
But then you learn what you need to learn in that block of time, and then you're just like, okay, well, I still enjoy stuff, right?
Right.
And then you go back and find that stuff, and it's like you never left almost, or you did, but while you were gone, a lot of cool shit happened, and you get to relay re-dig through all of that. So, but outside of the anime stuff, what's some of the other things you're into?
So, I'm a big fantasy nerd. We got Lord of the Rings being a big part of my teenage years, discovering that. My family was moderately religious, and so I wasn't like my mom would not let me have Pokemon anything until I was in my late teens.
I remember you telling me that when we were kids, and I was like, "That's crazy."
Yeah, right. I'm like,
it's cute.
Yeah,
cuddly things that happen to fight each other.
Yeah, no, man. Pikachu wants to take you to the church of Satan.
Oh, they run the Church of Capitalism as far as nerd culture goes.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, right. Truly, it is. It's not far from each other, minimum.
But yeah, so I didn't get to take part in Pokemon. When and D&D was almost like we weren't quite. My mom wasn't quite the pearl clutching, chick track. Oh my lord, it's satanic. But she still thought that if you played D&D, you were going to get involved with the wrong crowd, do drugs and stuff.
Interesting.
And so the Lord of the Rings was one of my main fantasy outlets, and for quite a while. And of course, in later years, got involved in Dungeons and Dragons anyway. So
you always want what you can't have.
Yeah.
That's how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the way it was for Pokemon. I had dreams about getting a Pokemon game. I was that was cloud 9 for me.
Right.
And then I finally got one or two, and I was like, this is the same damn game over and over across generations.
This is what it's like to grow up in religious Arkansas, if you're curious.
Yeah. There's various levels of experiences. There's some that are really strict, even more so than my family, and then there's some that aren't nearly as bad. But I didn't meet very many of the not so strict ones until I got older. I don't know if that just came with me meeting more people, or if it was just the times,
Sure.
But anyway,
I was raised in church. They made me go to church until I was 14 every Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, as long as I wasn't performing rituals out in the front yard or setting things ablaze, they didn't really care too much what I was doing.
Right.
Because the more things I was interested in, that was more things I could leverage for a grounding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting way of looking at that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really think about the economy of it back then. you're just like, I just like the things that I like, and all you want to do is take them away from me.
Right.
But then when you become a parent, you're like,
yeah.
Not that I endorse that to any parents listening out there.
Yeah, don't give your children hobbies as a means of controlling them. Shame on you.
Yeah, that's pretty disgusting, truthfully.
But yeah, no, I'm a fantasy person. I got into sci-fi with Doctor Who back in 2005 and Star Wars before that.
Mm-hmm.
I like space, dinosaurs, like.
Absolutely.
If I can misuse science for one thing in my lifespan, it's to clone. It's to make a dinosaur. I don't care if we're reverse engineering a chicken or what. But
I mean, really, with the direction the world's going, who could really blame you?
Fair.
I mean, it's kind of, especially in the United States, it's kind of just like, as long as you're not hurting the bottom line, they don't care too much. But then if you get really good at it, then the CIA is going to make you disappear.
I mean,
don't get Epstein.
I mean, honestly, if I make a dinosaur and then the CIA wants to disappear me, I'll let the dinosaur eat me. That's how I want to go out anyway.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I like that. A contingency is always a good thing.
Yeah, they're like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to come with us. I'm like, do I? Let's out the T-Rex.
Yeah.
But what about you, man? Like we meet up reasonably often for D&D and whatnot, but we don't talk about much aside from that. So,
man, I like we mentioned earlier, I grew up in the South, out in the woods. And again, like you said, you either grew up and became a nerd, like we did, which I would say is maybe 5 to 10% of the people I know.
I was thinking 10.
Yeah,
that feels right.
Right, but it was either that or you got what was it? They called it the fever. When you really enjoyed going hunting in the woods at 4 a.m. and
like 10 degrees,
going pew pew with shooty guns, making things fall down for good.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Which has its merits, don't get me wrong. I can dig it, but it just never caught for me.
Right.
I would much rather, again, wake up at 7 and watch cartoons all day long if I can. I mean, I played outside too. I had an imagination. Probably a lot of it came from the kind of things I would watch on TV. So I could remember, I've been thinking about this pretty vividly lately, but I could remember where I would be bored sitting in church and I would just let my mind wander. And I would pretend I could like spin out fan blades like a traditional Japanese fan, but like made out of steel.
Oh.
And I would just fiddle with my hands in the back pew of the church where nobody could see me.
You heathen.
Yeah. Oh man, you have my last name even. But that made for over the years, a good few hours of entertainment. And then from there, I'd make up these games that I'd want to play where I didn't even realize that I was basically playing my own scheme of D&D. But
right.
I would make up these weapons and stuff with special powers, and then I would pretend to play with them outside with a stick, that kind of thing. Like it was a chaos staff or something like that just shot black magic, and it was a lot of stuff. But I mean, growing up like that, you just kind of, if you didn't have an imagination, then that's probably why you wound up in the woods.
Yeah, no, that tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, like I did the deer hunting thing for a lot of my youth, in which I never got into doing anything else. Like you'll probably never catch me out there, hunting ducks.
Yeah.
Up to my knees in freezing cold water. It's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
But where I live, deer hunting's easy. You just open the front door and pull the trigger. And
sure.
I mean, if something doesn't fall over, the gun wasn't loaded.
Yeah.
Like literally, you could open any window in the house and kill something. So that wasn't hard. But I did kind of like you with the whole make believe thing.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing, I didn't like going outside. I didn't like being dirty, getting sweaty.
Okay.
I was a weird child.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy the trampoline, but I would take my pillow and I would just spin it on my finger, kind of like hand tossing pizza dough.
Yep. That always seemed fun when you were watching it happen.
Yeah. I would do that, and I made sound effects,
yes.
And everything. Sometimes I'd use clothes hangers. I really blinded myself doing that on multiple occasions.
Yeah, I could see that. But the clothes hanger does feel cooler.
Yeah.
Because it's more dangerous.
Yeah. It feels really cool until you get it hung behind your eyelid.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That wasn't ready for that one.
No. Yeah, neither was I.
No. I would imagine
But I didn't learn the lesson the first 2 times.
2 times? You did it more than once?
Yeah, I did it a total of 3 times before.
You got a clothes hanger behind your eyelid 3 times?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You're, yeah, okay.
I never claimed to be the sharpest tack in any given box.
I'm just going to tell you, Billy, up until right then, I had you pretty up there,
Well, I'm sorry to shake your worldview.
You shaking my worldview, and then some. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, it was real unsettling.
How'd your mom feel after the 3rd time?
I didn't tell her about all of them.
Oh, fair enough.
I think I told her about one of those events at some point after the fact. I don't actually remember which time it was that I told her about.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I would imagine the first time that happens, and she's like, "Oh my god, my baby," and then the 3rd time she's like, "If you don't quit this shit."
Yeah. Well, and like it was one of those things. I sort of the first time I kind of panicked and I just wanted it out.
Yeah, obviously.
So I didn't even move except I was laying on the bed with it behind my eyelid, and I just pulled it out. And
we might have to have a trigger warning on that one.
That's fair. But anyway, the next 2 times it was just kind of like, you got to be kidding me again.
How do I do this? How do I keep doing this to myself?
Yeah, because it was like I didn't really understand statistics. But I had the reaction where I basically was like, statistically, how did it come in at that angle more than once?
Mm-hmm.
Like the first time I was like, it'll never happen again.
No, that's got to be right up there with lightning strikes.
Yeah. Second time I was like, well, apparently this is more common than I thought. I should quit doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then months later,
you thought you had learned your lesson.
Yeah. Months later, I was like, you know what? I've worn a hole through my pillow spinning it.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's time to go back to the metal clothes hangers. And I was wrong.
You were wrong. Dear God. If it helps now, I'm not advocating for you to pick this hobby back up, but if it helps now, they make them with less pointy ends now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do.
If you ever, want to become a professional clothes hanger spinner, don't worry about your eyelids.
Yeah. I've graduated to things that they came up with these things called fidget spinners.
Yep, I remember.
And those helped.
Okay.
Those helped that need.
Okay.
Although sometimes I do still walk through the house spinning my headphones.
Okay. Still less dangerous than a clothes hanger.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to make better choices now that I'm older.
But you've got to be one of the more extreme cases of the uses of a fidget spinner. Like, look what I could be doing.
Yeah.
And most people would be like, "You mean drugs?" Like, no. It's like strange attempted piercings.
Yeah. I have a medical fidget spinner card.
Congratulations. That's got to be a big one. I've never even heard anybody getting that one.
Yeah, this is fidget spinner's prescription.
Wow. Do you have to go anywhere special for that? They have dispensaries for fidgets?
Sort of. I mean, you go to the gas station, they're like, that's not real.
Yeah, right.
But I mean,
you don't even need that. We'll just sell you this.
Yeah.
Right.
But
the mortgage job, I bet there's probably some pretty badass fidgets out there that you need some kind of license for.
I've seen some that are like shurikens. They're probably not sharp. But
yeah, that's probably a bad idea. But is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my first thought was, I wonder if I could actually throw it. And I don't remember where I saw it online, but somebody did actually try it with some version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the edges aren't sharp, but they do have pointy ends, and so the points do stick into some materials.
Interesting. Like styrofoam,
cardboard.
Okay, yeah.
I think they tried it on cardboard.
Okay. So, I mean, it's not just about the media that we view necessarily, the stuff we've watched or what have you, but like, what else tickles you?
I'm real imaginative.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been diagnosed with any sort of attention disorder, but my mind bounces around a lot. When you get started talking about the fictional universes, and I'm going to go back to the Lord of the Rings, but there are more recent examples. If you haven't checked out the Wise Man's Fear, A Wise Man's Fear in the Name of the Wind, check them out. The world building is almost on par with what Tolkien did. with the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and everything. But just the sheer breadth of these fictional worlds that people create, languages and histories and all these places and the architectures that they describe, and all these little details. Like I just get really into deconstructing the stuff.
Right. Well, somebody devoted large portions of their life to creating something that, in ways, I mean, at least materially, was not there.
Right.
And they created this, like you said, this world that you almost, depending on how invested you are in the story, feel like you can touch.
Yeah.
And it's enough for you to really pick it apart and say, the way my mind works is like, okay, is this symbolism?
Right.
Or is this just this person just created this with such care and such attention to detail that they were able to convey, maybe not necessarily the way they saw it, but a version of it to you.
Yeah. There's, it's hard to explain in a way what world building meant to me growing up, because, like, as I mentioned earlier, I was homeschooled, and this is nothing. If my mom watches this, if you're out there listening, Mom, I love you. You did a great job. This is nothing bad about you. But I mean, I pretty much had my two friends from church for growing up for the most part. And I had one other friend that I met through homeschooling, but I didn't hang out with a lot of people. There wasn't a lot of social interaction, and so having that outlet of, in some ways it may have been escapism, but having that outlet to dive into those things, those worlds, and pick them apart and follow the thread of thought through the world building. I think that was one of the things that really not only helped me get through life, my early life, but also kind of made me who I am. And I think that's why, because whenever I'm the dungeon master for D&D,
right,
I can pretty much only run homebrew. I can't run pre-mades very well, because I'm just like, I'm all over the place about it, and always tweaking things here and there. And so if it's just going to become homebrew anyway, why not just start there?
No, I believe that.
Like, outside of that stuff, I'm artistically challenged, I like to say.
Okay.
David has recently seen some of my honestly best attempts at art, and they're not great.
Okay. It is hard. Sorry to interrupt, but it is hard to. I feel the same way in a lot of ways. Like, my dream job, if everything paid the same and I could just do one job for the rest of my life, it would be to tattoo people. However, also, the things that happen in my brain do not translate well down through my fingertips. So that's a bit of a stopper. And yeah, it's one of those things with practice and time can get better.
Right.
But it's committing the time to do it.
I mean, like, I've seen some of your past artwork. I've still got some of your custom Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh, nice.
The Thor Spore.
The Thor.
Yeah. And you easily double, maybe even triple my talent. Which, okay, let me refer. You have actual brain to finger talent.
A little bit.
I have none.
Oh, okay.
Triple of 0 turns out it's still 0.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you dwarf my abilities infinitely.
Yeah,
that being said, I know, as far as tattooing goes, I know a guy.
Yeah, right. No,
anyway, if you ever get serious about wanting to do that, I'm sure good old Mike.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's on the list.
Would try to work you in somewhere.
Yeah. Shout out Micro.
How's it going, man? If you live in Batesville,
right?
But anyway, other interests. Like I said, I'm artistically challenged, but I'm into the world of 3D printing and some light 3D modeling.
Some of the stuff you just got hanging around here on the shelves that you did for you, I think is super cool.
Thank you. I got started with models by getting into Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
My buddy Cedric just betrayed me, stabbed me in the back, and here I am, thousands of dollars later, with way too many tiny plastic dudes. But I've graduated making my own. I print them out of resin and plastic these days. I'm not that great at painting still, but I'm slowly getting better. I've got a Ninja Turtle bust over there on the table.
I saw that. I was looking at that.
That I'm approaching being proud of.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
But what about you? What obscure things tickle your fancy?
Man, just only in recent years, but actually human biology.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just the kind of things that like happen through happenstance through your life. Like if you get a cut and the way it heals and how it can heal faster depending on certain aspects of, say, your diet or the things you do on a daily basis, how active you are, that kind of thing.
Right.
Down to the way spinach, if you didn't know this, a small helping of spinach with a little bit of olive oil in the morning, like baby spinach, can do more for your brain function than a cup of coffee.
Interesting.
Indeed. I mean, obviously you're not caffeinated, but like as far as how well your brain operates.
I've not heard that one before. That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Which is that cooked or raw spinach?
I did it raw.
Okay.
I mean, I'd have it alongside probably like a 3-egg omelet or egg white omelet or something like that.
See, I don't. Okay. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly Captain Veggie.
Right. No.
But now, raw spinach, it's one of those things. I'll eat that by itself.
Yeah, it's basically lettuce, but actually with something in it. Iron, by the way. Iron as well. Anemic or something along those lines.
Don't let the traditional salads out there hear you say that, David.
Well, iceberg lettuce has been at it for too long, and I'm tired of it getting all the credit.
I mean, fair. I mean, it's time for the new kid on the block.
It's just crunchy water.
You're not wrong.
I know.
You heard it here first, folks. Yeah. Crunchy water.
Crunchy water.
But
also, sorry, just to interject again, it literally just fills up your stomach, and sometimes it doesn't even decompose correctly, which can cause you problems later on.
Yeah, I have heard that certain green leafy things don't do you
roughage.
Yeah.
We're not cattle, folks. No matter what the government would have you believe. That's a different soapbox we'll stand on another day.
We promise.
Oh, absolutely. We've got plenty of time.
But yeah, no, like I'll eat raw spinach all day. I love raw spinach. Now cooked spinach, you're gonna have to tie me up.
That soggy Popeye bullshit. I'm not here for it.
Yeah, I don't need to punch the battleship that bad.
No, I will, just to prove a point.
But I did take your broccoli recipe and added some soy sauce.
Sure.
And
makes it a little more edible.
Yeah. Well, I was like salt. I was about to add in the salt, and I was like, you know what else has a metric crap ton of salt and also a slightly
better flavor?
Yeah. Soy sauce.
Okay.
So I tossed in some soy sauce, and even Amy loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Amy's my wife, in case anybody needs to know that.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies, I'm a taken man.
Yeah, it's true. Also, she's a goddess, so you didn't really have a shot anyway.
That's true. She's a goddess.
Indeed. But also, if you ever want to get put on Brussels sprouts one day, I got something for you.
Oh yeah.
I know it's a big jump, but yeah, we'll get there.
We might experiment one day.
I nerd out over food too. I love to cook. But also not like I'll watch a cooking show, but I'm not making anything in that cooking show. I have no idea how to take, a stick of butter and turn it into foie gras, and I have no interest.
Yeah, no. I mean, I could put on a cooking show. If you ever watched Justin Wilson, he's dead now. He was an old Cajun guy. He had a cooking show.
Interesting.
And he didn't measure stuff.
No.
He would tell you what the measurements were. Like he was like, you need a teaspoon of salt. He would take his hand and he would just pour salt into his hand, and he just eyeballed it. Mm-hmm. And occasionally, just to prove to the audience that it was actually a teaspoon of salt, he would pour it into his hand, and then he'd pour it into the measuring spoon, and it'd be a teaspoon of salt.
Wow. And
but he had that thick Cajun accent, and I just liked listening to him. But I could never make anything that he was making, partially because I can't handle that much wine in my food. But but in theory, I like cooking. I just don't cook a huge variety of things most of the time.
No, I think, yeah, pretty much. If I'm cooking for just me, then I probably won't cook. But
right.
if I've got somebody to impress or something like that, which I do have someone to impress now, but she's not impressed by most of the things that I make.
What?
So, mostly because she eats like a kindergartner. Love you, Reagan.
I mean, my wife is basically 5.
So yeah, we're living in dual worlds here.
Yeah, you kind of have to hold her down to make her eat something that's not Lucky Charms.
Oh yeah, well that's understandable. They're magically delicious.
They are.
Yeah. But no, I basically just like going into the fridge and being like, well, normally I would cook this, but this is what I have, so let's see what happens.
Right.
Turns out okay.
I mean, the number of things in this world that wouldn't have been invented if somebody wasn't trying to substitute something for something else, I imagine is staggering.
Oh, yeah,
like I honestly can't even fathom how they first came up with the recipe for black powder. Like who put all that stuff together and
decided to light it also.
Yeah. Like how did that happen?
You know what? That's probably something we should research. We can get into that.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever watched Ancient Aliens.
Just a touch.
My wife loves the show. It's honestly hilarious. Sometimes they'll say some things that are just so outlandish that I'm just like, did you get really high?
Is any of that founded in science?
Right. But one of the things they said one time was that the transition from in Japan, the transition from the Chinese broadsword to what we know as the katana was such a huge jump in design and metallurgy that it couldn't have been simply facilitated by human smiths in that time frame. That it was such a big leap that aliens had to be involved. And whenever I heard that, I was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And then I got to thinking, I was like, but there are other things, like how did we get black powder if aliens didn't suggest it? Right. if somebody who didn't already know didn't say, hey, put this stuff together, how did that happen? But I'm sure there's at least some lore behind the invention of black powder and why it happened.
Right. I'm positive the cavemans didn't accidentally figure it out. Like it's been a while.
Yeah.
Cave people.
Right. I mean, as much as I would like to think that Grog came out of his cave, with his Ot 6 club. It's the early edition of the Gunblade from Final Fantasy.
Oh, fair. Right. Greco's really gonna appreciate this boom noise.
Yeah.
Bang. So, Billy.
Yeah.
Why do grown men choose to start podcasts instead of going to therapy?
Well, this is cheaper.
Oh, considerably. That's the first answer.
Yes. Also, I don't know all the therapists here in my town, but I'd much rather look at you than a lot of them. But no, honestly, we've talked about a couple of times now, we've been friends for 25 years, and but we don't actually get to just hang out and talk a lot.
Yeah.
I hardly ever miss a chance to just hang out with my favorite people and nerd out. So, I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, I think that's, you know what, I really appreciate that. That was a heartfelt explanation, and I love that.
Well, I'm too dumb to come up with anything else, man.
No, I have mutual feelings. I actually put some thought into it because I saw that meme on Facebook. It was so the meme was, it was a woman asking why do grown men start podcasts instead of going to therapy.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
The reply to it was, why do grown women start an OnlyFans instead of getting a job?
Okay.
Right. Shots fired. But
why aren't we on OnlyFans?
I just haven't found my niche yet. There's a market for what I do. I'm just not sure I want to interact with the people that like it.
Yeah. I mean, sell your tips or something.
Yeah, at least feet. I got some crazy feet. Somebody will buy that. Listen, my whole goal in life is to get paid for doing bare minimum. And sponsorships, if you're looking at us yet, you're probably not, but I'm still going to speak this into existence.
It's episode 1. Get in on the ground floor, guys.
We're only going up from here. But
nowhere to go.
No, I think I really gave it some thought. It actually kept me up when I was trying to sleep earlier today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I was like, okay, why am I doing this? And I mean, truthfully, the end game of therapy is really just to understand how valuable your serotonin is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long road to get to that point of understanding, I think. So why would I not just tap the button on my own?
Yeah,
and
there you go.
If I can sit here for hours on end and just talk about the stuff that I like, and it makes me feel better, why would I do anything else? Especially if it costs more.
Right? And I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't hope that one day we were we were those guys who don't have real jobs that people make fun of. But if we never make a dime doing this, I'm still cool.
Oh, absolutely. I want to, but still, in 20 years, in 20 years' time, I want to be able to look at a time clock and be like, I have no idea how to use this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what even is this? I mean, of course, in 20 years,
it's going to cost blood. It's no doubt. It's going to be blood.
I mean, it'll probably be a retinal scan.
I mean, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say mine was more metal, but yeah.
You're absolutely right. There was way more metal in your idea. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who've kind of forgotten, how to chill and just, really enjoy the things they enjoy. Because there's, even rat race aside, even if we're not just talking about the struggle of making a living,
right.
There's a lot of pressure that people feel to know everything about X thing that they like. I love dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. Can I name all the bones in any given dinosaur? No, it's never gonna happen either.
Dude, my 6-year-old the other day started telling me something about the Mesozoic era.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, first of all, you pronounced Mesozoic correctly. My fear is only trumped by how impressed I am.
Right.
So, it's why can we not just stay there? Why mm-hmm. that there's something about that she has latched onto and is just so intriguing for her. And there are informative ways for even her, who has a lot of trouble paying attention to one thing for more than a couple seconds at a time. There are ways for her to become well versed as a 6-year-old in herbivores, carnivores, that kind of thing. When you're growing up, there's something, whatever your little thing is, the thing that you just really enjoy or love, mm-hmm. is almost suppressed because there's some kind of expectation for you to grow up and get into the real world and all this stuff. So, for a lot of people, that's just kind of the thing that keeps them going.
Right. I hope that, and just because I'm always trying to bring people to the dark side, mm-hmm. I hope that we're able to latch on to the people who, like you said, they grew up and they put the childish things away and started doing adult things.
They lost their dinosaur. Folks.
They lost their dinosaur. I hope we touch some of them and remind them of what they used to love. And I strongly encourage you guys to bust out your old I almost said Transformers. Those two.
Yes.
But your old Power Rangers VHS tapes.
Yes.
And relive the 5 episodes of Tommy Oliver handing the Power Rangers butts to them.
Yes, absolutely.
And yes, it's absolutely terrible.
God.
Was
the fight choreography was sadly the best part about that show if we're really looking at it. Aside from the costumes and the giant robots. And
part of that was just reused Japanese footage.
Yeah, well, somebody had to do it first.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
But don't 100% power, original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. is not a cinematographic masterpiece
by any means.
But that shouldn't stop you from sitting down and enjoying that wave of nostalgia that hits you anyway.
Absolutely.
Like I mean,
immediately takes me back to a bowl of Captain Crunch on the living room floor in my underoos. Just like, yeah, get him, Billy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's any less for enjoying the campy, cheesy stuff from the '90s. And if you think I'm, lame for enjoying it, come fight me. I promise I'll cheat.
Absolutely. No, I don't have time to fight a fair fight.
Oh no!
Like I've got things to do, and your kneecaps mean nothing to me.
That's right. I mean, look, I just sat here and talked about how much I love the show where five people got together to fight one monster. You really think I'm fighting you mano a mano?
No, we learned early.
Yeah.
Like, these streets don't play.
That's right.
If you people were wondering what this is, or even if this particular episode even makes it to air, this is the Gykdrasil podcast. We're starting right now.
Today,
right now, in this moment, you're listening to it first. And you kind of forget what your favorite dinosaur is, or maybe you don't forget, but nobody really asks you what it is.
I mean, it has. Even though I have nerdy friends, it has been a while since anyone asked me what my favorite dinosaur is.
Right. So, what we want to do is that, not necessarily what your favorite dinosaur is, but whatever.
We'll get there.
Whatever. Oh, we're about to go there. We want people to talk about the thing that they secretly love, or maybe not so secretly, but nobody really talks about with them. And I want to hear all about it. Even if I don't have a huge interest in it, I may develop one.
Oh, yeah.
Or, if nothing else, you get to talk about it, and you might get to hear about stuff we like that you didn't really think about. So, Billy, what is your favorite dinosaur?
So, not to be that kid from Saturday morning, but it was definitely the Triceratops.
Yep. I mean, T-Rex is obviously badass for its own reasons, but I've heard in recent years it was a scavenger. I don't know that I choose to believe that just yet, but I'm open-minded. But the Triceratops is just pretty honest about who he was, and if you wanted to step to a Triceratops, you were about it.
Yeah. And this is not to keep going back to dinosaurs, but since we're on the topic, there is some newer research that suggests that the larger ones may have been more scavengery, and they sent the younger ones out to actually do the hunting.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And regrettably, the scene from Jurassic Park.
Get a job.
Yeah, exactly. Regrettably, the scene from Jurassic Park where the T-Rex chases the Jeep.
Okay.
Apparently is complete nonsense.
You don't say.
Supposedly, they would break their legs if they tried to run that fast.
Interesting.
Dinosaur science changes all the time,
right.
And I promise we'll talk about this more in the future.
Yeah, nobody's really seen one lately.
Right.
It's all just conjecture.
There is a company trying to clone a mammoth, but mammoths are not dinosaurs.
They're living their dream, though.
Yeah, they are.
They said one day, I bet we could do it.
Yeah.
And so they're trying it.
Yeah, somebody told them they couldn't. They were like,
watch me.
Hold my shiny beers.
Right. And hand me a checkbook.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there's always new dinosaur science, new takes on finds, and so on and so forth. And the bottom line is we'll never really know,
No.
But I choose to believe that even if it was a scavenger, it was still a badass.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, Triceratops is where it was at.
Okay. Yeah, Triceratops will take your kneecaps out.
Absolutely.
And then some.
Oh yeah, like you'll be a full foot shorter.
Billy, it's been a blast, man. I love this. This is a great opener. Again, if none of this makes this to air, I'm still glad we did it. And absolutely, assuming the computer has recorded all of this.
If it hasn't, I'm gonna throw it.
Oh man, yeah, we'll just have to try for a round 2. Anyway, man, let's get out of here, and let's look forward to interconnecting the branches of Gykdrasil from here on out.
Absolutely. if you guys like this, keep coming back. There's gonna be more. Hit us up in comments.
Absolutely.
If you really need to be negative, comments are comments.
Yeah.
So we'll read those too.
Bad PR is still PR.
That's right. All publicity is good publicity. But anyway, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think, what you'd like to see or hear in this case. And we'll catch you next time.